Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus, and I'm taking a look at a test shot copy of Maketoys' Gundog that I've got on loan from Madhouse Toys. Two important things. This copy of Gundog is all plastic, with none of the die-cast content found on the versions for sale. Also, it's mostly the -2Y Toy Colors version, but I believe it has the -2N Toon Colors version's white thighs. So I'm gonna focus mostly on the sculpt and the engineering in this particular video. Having just said that, the alt mode is more or less indicative of the -2Y version, and it's a cute little hunk of Jeep. I'm basically a Jeep expert, and my Jeep expertise is advising me that this is pretty much a Hound-esque Jeep. There's detail across the surface of the vehicle mode, from the front grille area to the pair of big open seats, the rather shallow trunk, and the sextuplet taillights. The shapes all seem fine, and there's even a little steering wheel and dashboard piece in front of the driver's spot. While I'd probably go for the 2N's metallic silver, the 2Y version does place its chrome pretty well, bursting the front grille to life and adding punches of light to each and every hubcap. The tires are thick and meaty, and in general this feels like a great alt mode. It's just a shame that it looks about 10 to 15% too large next to a Hasui-era masterpiece car. I wish there had been some extra touch of compression across the board, as the open and visible seats make it hard to ignore that Gundog looks like a car for 8-foot-tall drivers. Not that there's anything wrong with 8-foot-tall drivers, but man, check out Spike. Check out Spike. Anyway, Gundog has some flip-out tabs on his rear end which allow for the storage of his spare wheel and gas can accessories. Living up to the first half of his name, he can also store all three of his weapons on the bed of the trunk. The rifle and shoulder launcher tab together, while the third gun goes in solo style. They all have a bit of movement while mounted back there, and if you tilt them properly, you can even fit a fully loaded Gundog vehicle mode inside of the MP10 trailer. Shouts out to the weirdly specific collector demographic that appreciates this. I got your back, Steve, don't worry. Shifting Gundog into robot mode is a lot easier with his accessories removed, so I'll just absorb them into my flesh for a minute in order to let us begin the transformatizing. The sides of the Jeep mode curl up to begin the process, and are also the trickiest thing to get loose of their locked tabulature. After that, they happily fold away into Gundog's heels, once you do the obvious and satisfying motion of folding his feet down out of the alt mode's rear mass. While you are going to fold away some panels and seats, the general gist of this transformation may strike you as similar to Classic's Hound or even Alternator's Hound. I mean, the layout of the guy's robot mode doesn't leave a lot of room for interpretation, but as you Hound enthusiasts begin to feel like you know what's going on, a fun twist occurs as the underside of the Jeep mode accordion folds together to form his robot forearms. And with some damn solid locking tabs. I'd easily call that the biggest moment of the transformation, and what gives this Maketoys take a bit more of its own identity. Everything afterwards is, honestly, a slightly cleaner and more complicated version of the Classic's Hound conversion scheme. The wheels do some multi-jointed folding to hide away inside of Gundog's torso, the arms enlarge and straighten out, and then everything ends on a satisfying hood collapse that reveals his head. And then you twiddle his little Jeep nipples into the right place. Come on, guys, we had a dynamic head reveal. Don't blow the moment! Gundog is clearly a hound. A masterpiece-alike hound, even. But his aesthetic is neither cartoon nor toy, instead being a fusion of the two. Basically, he strikes me as a higher-end, MP-roided Classics Hound, but maybe with a dash of vinyl tech for flavor. He's got a very strong standing silhouette and a clean backside from the waist down. The back of his torso's kind of messy and made of tires and a dangling steering wheel. Anyway, he's kind of bulky like a G1 cartoon hound wearing the G1 toy hound's car parts like armor. I think I could have done with his shoulders being a bit slimmer, as that would have accentuated the shape of his lower body in a real sexy way. Now, having said all that stuff about his body aesthetic, Gundog's head sculpt is totally the G1 cartoon. The shapes, the lines, the face. I mean, the face is maybe a touch slimmer, but this is totally a toon-faced robot Jimmy Stewart. If you stand him next to a Hasui-era masterpiece car bro, Gundog is clearly sharing a similar body size, which halfway excuses the oversized alt mode, but only halfway. I'd be cool with a hound that's a touch shorter than a prowl. Gundog's spare wheel has a spot upon which to store on his back, but if you want it to take a more active combat role, it can also tab onto his forearm as a tiny star-emblazoned buckler, like Captain America's shield, only much smaller and partially made of rubber. I'm sure it helps with something. The gas can is able to tab cleanly onto the front of Gundog's foot, though I really dislike the way it adds a big lump of asymmetrical toe to his design. It can also tab onto his forearm, and has some underside sculpting that reveals its hidden function as an 8-shot battery of Macross missile spam. Getting a little more textbook hound, the rocket launcher can mount on Gundog's shoulder, while his big rifle can tab into his hand with a predictable masterpiece palm slot. However, his alt-mode-centric third gun can tab straight onto his other forearm, allowing Gundog to go fully automatic and lay waste to swathes of square footage, America style. How much DACA? All the DACA! The Gundog has a ball-jointed head, with just a little bit of waggle. Just enough to make me feel somewhat satisfied, but the shape of it, the big boxy cap top of it, makes a lot of the more subtle tilts have a little bit more expression because such a big, awkward shape is moving. And he can look to this side because, I mean, if you don't want him to see anything, you just put that down. That's how you can play it incognito. He's like, I'm not looking at you. Or am I? His shoulders are interesting. There is a ball socket joint here, connecting the main bulk of the thing, but then to go outwards, there is a hinge up here so that you can do that. The elbow is my least favorite part of this toy, and it's for real nitpicky reasons, but it bends, it goes 90. Thing is, look at the size of his bicep versus the size of his forearm. That kind of size discrepancy with an elbow joint bums me out, because I look at it, the joint is there, but I feel like the joint is happening right above where I would like to have it happen so that he have a more equal balance of mass across his arm. And it means when his arm is bent, the effect is kind of limited because the shoulder bending is up here, the arm bending is right here, the elbow bending, I mean. It's just, I wish this was lower. His wrists can swivel, and he's got a masterpiece knuckle so that he can, you know, hold guns or wave awkwardly. He has a waist joint, and he has an ab crunch from the transformation. Thing is, this can get kind of silly. You'll want to use this sparingly, like kind of like that, because the more you use it, the bigger a hole appears in his spine. So, you know, it's very useful, but use it in extreme moderation. You know, less is more in this case. Going into his legs, he has universal motion at his hips, and he can only move his legs forward this far, unfortunately, and there's no skirt or anything up here to get out of the way. It's just going to be like that. There's a thigh swivel, and if you swivel the thigh and move things out a bit, V-crotch style, you can get him to kick all the way forward 90 degrees. His knees bend about this far. They're double jointed. This seat kind of stops things. If you move this out of the way, like this, you can get an even deeper double jointed bend, and it's super cool. I'm confused about this seat placement, and I'm double confused about this part. Like, unless I'm missing something here, whereby maybe this bit can, no, it stops there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this piece should be folding away somewhere, and it's not. And as a result, I mean, he can still bend his knee 90 degrees, but then you tease me with stuff like this, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Why can't I? Oh. His feet are great, though. There's a big-ass ankle till here, and forward and backward motion, partly from the transformation. So when you put this guy down, like, he's got big, chunky boots, and the ankle motion means he's always solidly on the ground, whatever he's doing. There's one other thing I want to show you about this guy while we're here. He has a secret robot mode. It's referred to as his, like, G1 robot mode. If we stick his legs together and then suck his elbows in. Now this is the bummer, because with his elbows sucked in, they can still pose, and I wonder if the joint being placed up high was just for this, like, what I would call straight up an Easter egg. And if that's the case, that's a big sacrifice for very little gain, in my opinion. Let's fold this thing up, and then swing his arms down like thusly. And this is partly what a whole extra joint is for, that I'll show you in a sec, but let me get his head back through here. We've got him done up looking basically like his G1 robot mode from his G1 toy, with the low set arms and everything. That's a cool Easter egg, and I super dig it. See that dedicated swivel across the seam there, just so his arms can still move forward in this mode. It's super cute. The dedicated, well, not dedicated, but the accommodating elbow articulation's also neat, but I feel like it kind of messed up his proper robot mode's elbow articulation. And, you know, you can do whatever you want with his legs. It's just, it's thematic to keep it all stock like this. Anyway, I love the idea behind this, like, just to pack in, like, his G1 robot mode, because you can. But if the elbows were put in suffrage in service of this, that's a shame. Oh, help me, I can't move my legs. Spike! Maketoys' first super classic auto car protagonist in their remaster line is a fairly fun toy on his own. His two modes look great with a high-end enhanced neo-classic swish throughout. The transformation is fun and fairly fast, he's decently and dynamically posable, and features a few cool accessories and Easter eggs. But he definitely does not gel as ridiculously cleanly into a Masterpiece display as the visualizers. Now, he does have the right body shape in robot mode, and while it strikes me as oversized, his Jeep mode is in the same realm as the general mush between Masterpiece Bumblebee's, Sideswipe's, and Prowl's own vehicle forms. But his aesthetic rides a toy and toon fusion a lot closer to the toy end of things, edging even closer than highly toy-centric Masterpiece bot modes like Sideswipe. I don't find it distracting to a fault, but in a world with 3 Masterpiece scaled Hound options coming out, it definitely is going to attract some and dissuade others. And in the context of the remaster line itself, while I don't find him to be a poor experience, Gundog is definitely less impressive to me than either the visualizers or Cupola. For a figure with 2 completely separate aesthetic purchase options, I was hoping for a little more pizzazz. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I hope this video's been of use to you, despite the visual subject matter not being entirely 2N nor 2Y. I think if I pick up a Gundog of my own, it'll probably be the 2N, but I am probably going to wait for some more remaster headmaster action before I decide.